Okay, so let me give you a heads up on this section of the test. As you can see, there will be multiple choice and true false. When it comes to questions and prompts or items in the test, there will be no fill in the blank when it comes to skepticism generally. There will be a fill in the blank where you'll have a description of the gist of skepticism and its main conclusion when it comes to the five big theories. So you do need to know that a given description is calling attention to a theory named skepticism. But when it comes to questions that or test items that focus on what you learned about in the section of the chapter focusing on skepticism, I believe that's 3.1, or it could be 3.2, but it's the part of the chapter that focuses on skepticism in this page range, 181 to 191. There won't be any fill in the blank, with respect to the specific thinkers and theories and more advanced concepts that were covered in those pages. Now, here I say main conclusion. It's important to keep in mind the main conclusion of skepticism. You'll already have dealt with the main conclusion of skepticism in virtue of dealing with the multiple fill in the blanks for the five big theories. But like I said, remembering the main conclusion can help you think through a lot of these answers or help you to get to the correct answer. So when it comes to kinds of skepticism, I'm going to let you know that you just need to know the gist of each. It's going to be the three kinds of skepticism are mentioned towards the beginning of this page range in your smart book. And this is going to be a multiple choice. And then meaning and use of universal belief falsifier. Lawhead spends about 1 or 2 paragraphs after he introduces you to different kinds of skepticism. He spends about a paragraph or two talking about universal belief falsifiers. And this is also going to be a multiple choice item. And then when it comes to the concept of doubt, uncertainty, or imposition or argument, that you get by doing, again, a careful reading of what he says, with respect to his general introduction to skepticism in the section that focuses on skepticism. So everything that you need to know, whether it's a multiple choice, well, in fact, I think all of these two for sure are multiple choice. I'm pretty sure that this one is a true-false item, but what you need to know is covered within this page range. One thing that I'm going to encourage you to do is that for each item in a bullet, don't just write one thing from the book. Write 2 or 3 comments for each thing in the book. And know that you can't just go find an answer. You really want to reread these pages, but maybe more carefully and more selectively looking for useful information that might be useful to you in the test. All right, so thinkers, pages 184 to 189. That's when Lawhead begins to mention specific thinkers. He first focuses on, or first mentions some of the ancient philosophers, Cratylus, and then Pyrrho. He spends more time on Pyrrho. These are going to be a mixture of multiple choice and true-false. You'll definitely have multiple choice for both Cratylus and Pyrrho and his followers as well, but you might also have some true-false for those. So study very carefully what Lawhead has to say about Cratylus. What did Cratylus think about words, about flux? What does flux mean according to Cratylus? What does he think about stable meanings with respect to words? And how did his philosophy and his concepts here and how they hang together impact his thinking on, and his thinking about communication behavior? What would he do when people attempt to communicate with Cratylus? What would he do? So that would be important information for you to have. And so, yeah, multiple choice and true false here. Pyrrho's arguments against any kind of knowledge. This information is provided in a rather long paragraph after Lawhead introduces you to Cratylus' thought and thinking. Make sure that you study that paragraph carefully. You're going to get multiple choice items that make sure that you really understand what Lawhead is saying about Pyrrho's thinking when it comes to his version of skepticism and how he supports his skepticism, what leads Pyrrho to be a skeptic. And then the followers of Pyrrho, Lawhead doesn't talk about this until the very end of his subsection of ancient skeptics. So make sure you read all the way through to the end, because this might even be the subject of the very last sentence or two of his section on ancient skeptics, especially with his focus on Pyrrho and his followers. So keep that in mind. So there's a paragraph or two just on Pyrrho, and then I believe there's a separate or 2 paragraphs that come after that about Piro's followers. So make sure that you're using careful, attentive rereading to make sure you find the information that you need. So here we have Descartes. Of course, he's not an ancient thinker. He's a modern thinker. Now, he does, as you know, use skepticism. Answering these questions helps to reinforce that you have a clear, accurate, and precise understanding of what he was up to with his skepticism. This in the test will be comprised of multiple choice and true-false. And in fact, for one question, you might get both a multiple choice and a true-false. So kind of like the Smart Book, like if you missed a question, it would give you maybe the same question but a different format. You don't get to redo a question in this test, but I might give you 2 items focusing on the same concept in the test. And the idea is to see that you really know that thing and you can have correct knowledge about a topic. For example, something about Descartes' belief system or thinking when it came to skepticism and how he used it. I might have a true-false item and a multiple choice item to double check and make sure you really understand something about Descartes' skepticism. And again, my suggestion is that when you are studying and preparing for this test, remember it's timed, so you want to prepare. When you answer a question, don't just provide one statement, maybe do a little outline. So you could write this question on a sheet of notebook paper, then write your answer, and then maybe give some supporting or contextual statements from Lawhead. So you answer this question, what was his take? So his take on beliefs about this was X, and then maybe 1 or 2 more comments or points that Lawhead made to this, so kind of creating maybe a little outline. So you could do that for each of these questions. Answering these questions will really help you prepare for the test and to think critically about what is the best answer when it comes to multiple choice and to select the correct answer when it comes to true-false items. That is all I have for you in this prepping and coaching video. Hopefully you took some generic notes over here. I recommend that before you go on with any other test 2 prep videos, that you first go ahead and work on this part of your study materials.